Welcome to The Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time. This time on The Kindness Project, 1984, work experience, and we have our interview with Rebecca Robi from Interbrand.
Welcome to The Kindness Project. I'm joined by a man who's jealous that I've been podcasting without him. It's Chris Dames.
And I'm joined by a girl who not only has been podcasting without me, not on, has had her first opinion piece published this week in China. I mean, you did that really professionally, like you'd spent a week in a proper journalistic setting. I mean, tell us what you've been up to.
Work experience.
How'd it go?
Experiencing work. Fun.
Experience like proper work?
Yeah.
Fun. So you enjoyed work?
Yeah.
What did you enjoy the most?
I was writing articles. Had fun. It was good.
And what did you write articles about? Share your knowledge of the FSCS, FCA.
Oh God, no! They confuse me the heck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to avoid those topics and just say I have been with CityWire.
Yeah. Thank you. Big shout out to Ollie at CityWire who looked after Charlotte for a week, and you did they got you working really hard, didn't they? Mm-hmm. You wrote an opinion piece. You cheated on me by going on Ollie's podcast.
I'm your daughter, not your girlfriend.
No,
Jeez.
I'm your daughter, not your girlfriend. I know that, but you are not only my daughter, you are my friend, and you are my podcast partner in crime. And when it comes to co-hosting a podcast, I don't want you mucking about with Ollie. What's going on, Ollie? I'd give you my daughter for a week to look after, and suddenly she's hosting another podcast. What's
Not hosting, I was a guest, thank you.
Oh, you were a guest? Okay. Mm-hmm. So what questions did he ask you as a guest?
He was asking me about the Kindness Project.
Oh, well, you're allowed to do that.
I'm advertising, Jesus.
You are allowed to go on somebody else's podcast and talk about our podcast. That's allowed. Did he ask you any other podcast, any other related questions?
We were talking about books.
Oh, right, what books?
The GCSE reading list. Because I was saying how I've been struggling to get through 1984, and I can't remember which book he said, but he said that it's one of his favourite books now, and when he first read it, he hated it.
See, I struggled to get through 1984, but I'm talking about the year, not the book.
How old were you in 1984?
1984 I was 7. It was a tough year, 1984, I remember it well. It was a hot summer of 1984. Big Brother was watching. No, not really.
I get that. That's from 1984, the book.
1984.
I just got to that bit.
Well done. Okay, so that's all good. Can you tell our listeners where they can hear from us, or where we can hear from them?
Well, if you're not tired of hearing it already, which I bet you are, we are at Facebook, and there's a search bar, and you can just type the Kindness Project into there. I'm sure we'll pop up someday. We do pop up today, I think, because you were.
You know what? We're increasing in popularity a bit. I bloody hope so. 85 weeks in, we're now top of Google when you put the Kindness Project in.
Oh, nice. Yeah, just Google us on Google.
I don't know where we are in the happiest podcast in the world. I mean, we've got to be sort of
moving up the ranks.
Moving on up. Do you know that song? Them people.
Wait, sing a bit more of it.
You want me to sing more?
Yeah.
Is that a genuine offer?
Yeah.
Moving on up, moving on.
Yes, I know which one you're about.
Fair enough. Thank you for saving me from that. So yeah, just Google the Kindness Project. We're all over the show. We're on Twitter at
Holla Kindness.
We're on Facebook and LinkedIn and WhatsApp and whatever.
We're not on WhatsApp.
No, we're not on WhatsApp. But you can find all about us.
Are we on LinkedIn? I've never thought we'd our LinkedIn link.
Are we on MySpace?
I wish.
Are we on Friends Reunited?
Aww.
We're not on Tinder, just so you know. But you can find us at www. Can't let it be out of us. Tinder joke.
No, don't.
Okay. www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. We're there. And if you'd like a limited edition Kindness Project t-shirt,
buy it.
at www.thekindnessproject/merch. This week's question of the podcast is quite an interesting one because I asked it on social media a few weeks ago at the start of summer.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a few answers already, but we'd like to know more. I've got a Spotify playlist just called Songs I Love. And what I try and do...
Well, actually, it's called Love This Song, but sure. Yeah.
All right, Spotify. Spy. It's called Love This Song.
I played it at your birthday, so I know.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else you want to share about my Spotify?
Oh, his birthday just went, 2-3 days ago. I lost track of which day it is, so...
I have the grand old age of 42 years young. But I'm always adding to it, and in certain seasons, I like to add different songs. So, even though when you listen to this, we're probably late August.
I'll probably be back at school.
We're probably late
August. Late August.
Late
Nice.
August. It's still summer, so what summer songs should I add to my playlist? What's your favourite summer song?
Summer songs? I don't really like summer.
You don't really like summer?
No, but I've been listening...
What have you got against the whole season of summer?
It's too warm and there's too much sunlight.
So, I'm a teenager, I want to be in a room in the dark.
No, I just don't appreciate the heat because it makes me sweaty, and being sweaty makes me uncomfortable. So, there's that. And also, I don't like wearing shorts because then you can see my legs, and I don't appreciate shaving them.
No, you can't because the hair's in the way, isn't it? Or not?
Exactly, that's the point. I don't enjoy doing that. So,
what's your favourite season?
Winter.
Winter.
I like the cold and the snow.
Dark. I can just sit in my room in the darkness.
Well, actually, around... when did it snow, this year or last year?
Feb, wasn't it?
Yeah, in February. We were at school, and it was the funniest thing of all time, because...
Now, right, can I just say one thing? If you're going to say it's the funniest thing of all time, it's now got to be the funniest thing of all time.
So, it snowed, and we were all in lesson, and the floor had frozen over. And it was
inside the class?
No, outside on the field, and the teachers didn't know that the floor was icy, so they let us all go out, and it started snowing again. And as soon as someone stepped out, a couple of the year sevens, Yeah, year sevens, or eights, and they were all running around yelling, "Honey, where's my super soup?" Because it's frozen. And we were all just yelling memes and sliding across the ice, and someone fell on their butt. Okay, it was funny to me. You don't have to give me that look.
That wasn't the funniest thing of all time.
Okay, but it was funny because it was the first time that it had snowed in a while, and that was their first thought. It was like, "Honey, where's my super soup?"
You know what? I still get excited when it snows.
So do I.
When it snows.
I miss the snow. Snow is amazing.
I love the big kid comes out of me when it snows.
The monkey.
Like, it's snowing!
Hey, let's throw something at someone's face.
It's snowing, they smashed up in his face with some ice.
But going back to the song thing, maybe not a summer song, but I've been listening to the Supernatural soundtrack, and I like Carry On My Wayward Son.
Yeah, so that's full of 70s and 80s American rock, isn't it? So Carry On My Wayward Son else.
What's on the playlist?
Yeah.
Back in Black. Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger's on there. Don't Stop Believing. Here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. Is that the right words?
No.
Yeah,
anyway.
whatever that song is.
So we've had, in the middle of summer, a conversation about snow and a conversation about 70s rock songs. My friend, if you could tell me what your favourite summer song is, that would be amazing.
Because my suggestions aren't very helpful because they're not summer songs.
Get on with the show?
Go on then.
This week on the Kindness Project, we are interviewing Rebecca Robbins. Now, Rebecca Robbins is a little bit amazing, right? Rebecca Robbins
just a little bit.
Is one of the kindest people that I... that's my alarm. Well, Rebecca Robbins is a Chief Learning and Culture Officer at Interbrand. Now, Interbrand are a big branding agency, but last week we interviewed Pinky Lalani, okay? And I asked Pinky, who is the kindest business leader you know? And she said, you've got to have a chat with Rebecca. You've just got to have a chat with Rebecca. So I went and had a chat with Rebecca. Would you like to listen?
Go on then.
Right, I'm here with Rebecca. Thanks, Rebecca, for joining us. I'm really excited about this one.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. Really
Thanks
good.
For being with us at our offices here in Bankside.
Yeah, great. Well, literally, our offices are just around the corner in Moorgate, so I had a really nice walk through London. And walking through town this time of the year is a bit good, isn't it? I like it.
Look at that spring sunshine.
I know, it's really good. So I know all about you because you were introduced to me, but tell our audience a little bit about you.
Oh, thank you. So I'm Chief Learning and Culture Officer for Interbrand, which is the world's leading brand consultancy. And I have quite an eclectic mix of roles at Interbrand.
Okay.
So I head up the Interbrand Academy, which is our platform for learning, innovation, collaboration and inspiration at Interbrand. We work with a host of phenomenally amazing brands and universities around the world as part of that. I also head up our global luxury practice. So my background also is, I'm a creative strategist, so I've worked on clients from Lego through to a lot of the luxury
Lego
brands.
must be exciting.
It's one of my favourite brands.
Yeah, I love that came out first. Lego.
It's one of my, I tell you, treasured, loved, truly loved brands.
My 7-year-old loves Lego. Yeah. Honestly, it's great. But the problem is we did a little project. So Cassie, my wife, and Charlotte went out the other day, and Sophie and I had 10 big bags of Lego to put together, which was meant to turn into a fairground. I popped out of the room. She mixed all of the 10 bags. So I came back and went, I just don't know the instructions. I don't know where to start. I went, should we just play and have some fun? And Sophie was, no, Daddy, we're going to do it like the instructions. So we spent quite a lot of time finding tiny little parts in this big bag, but I loved it. Absolutely good.
Again, classic example, a timeless brand, right?
Yeah, amazing.
Across generations.
Yeah.
And so that's what it has always interested me about brands, the relationship between brands and culture and people. Yeah. And also how I came to luxury, because I'm inspired by luxury brands, because a lot of them, when you think about it, they have lasted across generations.
Yeah, gotcha.
They have, they have retained this relevance across generations. Yeah. They're really, again, I would say luxury is possibly one of the most difficult industries to work with, but that's also why I love it.
Why was that?
Challenge there. For a number of reasons, not least because when you think about the brands that you're working with, I think first of all you feel such a sense of responsibility. Some of these brands,
because they're big names, right?
300 years old, and I think that's the thing, is that they've at that point brands become part of culture.
Yep.
So you feel a sense.
So they're iconic.
Not just and it's certainly not that you're just working with a brand. You feel a sense of guardianship over these.
It's responsibility.
And over the people you're working with. So and fascinating businesses to work with.
And what's it like working with people in the academy, and what do you teach, and how do you understand that?
You mentioned, yes, I'm flying off to Boston in a couple of weeks. So one of the things that I run, I have a whole host of programs throughout the year. The academy does two things. So the Interbrand Academy was born and inspired for our people. So Interbrand has a network of over 17 offices across the globe. And you imagine as Interbrand, we're a really polymathic business. So we have everything from data analysts out of MIT on this side through to designers. We have retail experience and everything in between. So really polymathic.
So a lot of different
business.
Types of people, right?
Absolutely. A phenomenally eclectic mix of people, which I absolutely love, and I think is so inspiring for us and also for the clients that we work with. So the academy really is about how do we nurture and feed and inspire our own people, and how do we connect them across our 17 offices. And so that's what the Academy does, is a platform for learning, collaboration, co-creation, innovation. And I'm in Boston to run one of my favourite programs, which is called Masterclass. And Masterclass is a sort of a high-octane, 3.5-day intense program where I fly in our top rising talent from around the network.
And across the world, all into Boston.
Yeah.
To learn what specifically?
They're coming from every different background as well. And they do two things. So we have a program mapped out for them for the week, which is designed to inspire and amplify collaboration, co-creation, and innovation, and we're working with one of the top 5 best global brands in the world, which I shall be able to reveal shortly. So
Okay, very cool.
Pretty high profile, yeah.
Very cool. And what do you get out of teaching these people?
Do you know, that is the real gift for me.
Okay.
That is the real gift for me. Is I do it because I was speaking at a conference the other day, and I said, you know, the reason when you look at brands and business, and we talk about people and culture, they're only in business because of the people.
Yeah.
So every great brand begins with a great culture. It begins from within, and that's why I do it. I am fascinated. I find people, you know, in terms of what we can do in this world, what we can do as individuals is one thing, because we are magical, unique individuals. What we can do together as collectives,
it's amazing. Yeah, you're right.
Communities is amazing. We were talking about that earlier in terms of how you connect into communities. So for me, the qualities of, and I go back to, so Google did this amazing piece of research on effective teams called Project Aristotle.
Okay.
And they found 3 common factors out of effective teams: curiosity, empathy, and generosity. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I do it.
But that's what makes us human, right? That curiosity and empathy is what makes us different to a machine. You know, it's those elements that are really good. And we're here to talk about kindness, and you were honoured, I don't know, along with Gareth Southgate, apparently I heard today, to be on a list of the 50 kindest leaders. What was that like?
Oh, it was honestly so humbling, really humbling. And I have to say, you know, huge recognition to Pinky Delano.
Who introduced me, introduced us, so thank you for that, Pinky.
Amazingly generous connector in the world. You know, truly light-filled human being. She's absolutely wonderful. And kudos to her also for recognising something, you know, a list of leading lights in kindness in business. And putting the notion of kindness and business together, I think, was such a powerful move by Pinky, and so prescient, because I was in Delhi just over a week ago speaking at a conference organised by the Economic Times. And I talked a lot about what it is to be human in business. And if you think about where we're moving to the age of the human, to the age of the deeply human, where as you talk about tech, the rise of AI, you know, we're in a world that is changing at an exponential rate, so we need to be exponentially human. And that's not said in a throwaway. It's actually quite a really deep thing that we need to consider, and it's macro, it's micro, it's what we do on a daily basis as much as anything else. And I think what Pinky touched on was the notion of, as we were saying earlier, kindness is something that is, you know, in essence, it's an abstract thing. So how we make kindness real in daily life and how we translate it into business in a way that actually transforms the way we do things, transforms what we can do and change for good in the world. That's what's really exciting.
So that's interesting, because I think you're right, but then how do we make kindness more practical?
Well, first of all, I think kindness has. Let's think about sort of when we talk about in business, people talk about skills, and they talk about soft skills, and I think a lot of this comes down to the language we use and the language we have used. When you think about, you know, a lot of business has actually got things rather skewed over whether it's with the gender debate, whether it's, you know, misuse of the word. Actually, you think about how stretched the word purpose has become. I actually co-wrote a book on luxury, looking at how diluted the word luxury. So actually, the language we use when we think about it has often become very diluted. Now, if we think about kindness, people often think, oh, well, you know, yes, that's warm and it's soft skills. I would really challenge the word soft skills. No, the soft skills in business are actually the hardest skills, because that's what really changes things. That's what drives people forward.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what we really talk about culture.
And actually, a lot of those skills are intangible, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Whereas knowledge is acquirable, some people are just naturally empathetic, and it's interesting. You can learn it, and you certainly should look at that. How do we make ourselves more empathetic and more curious?
So one of the things that we work with on our clients every day, and you can see, as you know, we value the top 100 best global brands every year. So we really understand, you know, what makes brands tick, how they work. We get in under the engine room of those brands every year. And one of those measures that we use is something called brand strength, and there are 10 factors of brand strength, 4 of which are all about what goes on the inside of the business.
So the people.
It's all about your culture, all about your commitment, all about your governance, everything that goes on around your people and your culture. And one of the things that we're doing actually at Interbrand, we're in the process of shifting from a values-based business to a behaviours-inspired business. When we think about, again, language is so interesting in terms of what it signals. Values potentially quite static.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all clear what they are, but do they actually change what we do as individuals on a daily basis? Behaviours, we were talking about this earlier. How you behave is how you act and what you do, and how you do things differently.
So it's really interesting. So we've got values in our business, but we're small enough to sort of exhibit those behaviours.
Yes.
But my background, I come from a corporate background, a corporate finance background. I remember walking in offices and seeing values on a corporate wall and thinking, that means nothing. And it's interesting. I think values are important to our little business, but I suppose the bigger a business gets, the more difficult values are to apply.
And I think also, again, big global businesses, right? When you have cultures across, you have a spectrum of cultures. You have a spectrum of people, as we have, right? We have a polymathic business. But what they do, if you embed them in a business, that's the glue that keeps you together. That's what you hold each other accountable to.
What business inspires you? So when you look at the world and think, there's a business there that I can actually learn a lot from. What sort of businesses inspire you?
I think probably we'd probably be here for the rest of the day with the number of brands that I work with.
Give me a top three.
So we talked earlier on. One of the first brands that I ever worked with was Lego. So I had the privilege to work with one of, I think, and when we talk about loved brands, that is truly a loved brand. Right? The very name means play well. And the fact that actually it's a brand that's lasted across generations. It continues to stretch across generations today. When you think it's not just a brand for kids, it connects families. So I think it's a phenomenal brand in terms of what it stands for at its core, at its ethos. And again, it's a sense of purpose in the world. I do love, again, my heart and soul is very much over the years. I've worked across all sectors and different industries. I'm fascinated by the world of luxury because for so many reasons. First of all, when you look at luxury businesses, the leading luxury businesses came down to one individual at one point in time. Visionaries often, real pioneers, innovators, rebels, people who weren't afraid to do things differently, but not for the sake, but with a purpose. These people said, I can do something better. I can create something
It was
better.
never conventional, was it?
No,
it was all
absolutely.
about doing something outside the status quo.
Absolutely. How can I stretch something? How can I challenge what was seen as the impossible? So I love that whole notion of why a lot of these luxury brands existed in the first place. Second of all, because when you think some of them are 200, in some cases 300 years old. So these have lasted long before us. And I learn a lot, and I'm inspired by brands that have lived all these generations before us, and if we do our roles well, we're only guardians of those businesses in whatever capacity we work with them to ensure that they carry forward for other generations to come. So that sense of making a mark on creations that have had a role in people's lives for years is fascinating.
So I'm Rebecca. I'm here to be educated, right? Because I want to understand a bit more about the role brands play in society and whether they have an impact in kindness. Help me understand a little bit about that.
I think that's a wonderful question. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that the biggest challenge that we can and should make to all the businesses that we're working with and working for, what is our commitment to change for good? Agreed. When we look at the world out there, I think possibly we're in a world that's more fragmented, polarised than it has been in a very long time. So we come back to that whole notion of what is it to be human in life, what is it to be human in business. And the two things aren't siloed and separate.
Agreed. And actually, I think business has a huge potential impact for good. It should be, shouldn't it?
And I was at a round table just the other day, and there was quite a polarising debate going on in the room about the value and viability of campaigns around purpose, etc. And I challenged that. I said, actually, no. We don't do things for the sake of. Actually, is it aligned with your brand and your DNA? And does it run through everything you do? And actually, what is your ambition to change things? Because you see a lot of campaigns around purpose-led initiatives. That's all well and good, but what are you seeking to change in the world? And I also think my biggest call to action is for brands to get together. What we can do as an individual
collaborative brands.
What we can do as an individual brand. What if a lot of luxury brands got together? What if the groups really worked harder to solve issues around sustainability or diversity? That's when we can really change things.
Do you think there's a pushback against that because of competitive culture?
I mean, the whole premise of a brand, right, is based on identification and differentiation.
Yeah.
Of course.
So working together is a challenge.
However, we know. Look at some of the clusters and ecosystems in the world of university and academia. Look at Cambridge, for example, my home university.
Yeah.
Look at the strength and the power of the Cambridge ecosystem, connecting university and academia, thought-leading, pioneering innovations into commercial application.
Yeah.
That's only come through the power of building that ecosystem, investing in it.
Yeah.
We will achieve nothing in this world as silos.
Yeah, agreed.
We will only achieve it in terms of what we do together, and that will need a bit of bravery. It will need sometimes it's sacrificing a little bit of the short-term thinking and profit for actually longer-term value. That's real brand.
I agreed. I'll tell you the interesting thing for me is the polarising forces in this world shout louder than the calm ones sometimes, and we need to, as good people, make sure that voice is heard. What do you think it takes to be a kind leader?
My biggest call to anyone in business is to, first of all, be yourself and be true to yourself.
Yep.
100%, absolutely. And I was talking about this yesterday. I was out with one of our teams, and you can be the quietest voice in the room, you can be the loudest voice in the room, but everyone has their contribution. And we need always in business to, support each other in making sure that the quietest voice gets heard.
But it's about authenticity, is it? Yeah.
You have to be. You shouldn't have to come into business and think that you have to change. Of course, one of the things that we look to do with culture is to bring ourselves together. But culture should lift us up, empower us, inspire us to be, even better, even stronger together. But who we are as individuals, you need to lead from your authentic self.
So that was the first part of the Rebecca Robbins interview. Shall we get on with the show and more from Rebecca next week?
Yup.
So, 'tis the end. Would you like to do the 'tis the end bit?
Go on then. I didn't realise we were that close to the end. Okay. 'Tis the end
That was a bit
of this podcast.
and the end is not always the end, because we've always got the bit that is last week's question of the podcast.
This week, this week. Yes.
So last week's question of the podcast is, we got in trouble a few weeks ago when we asked who's the most overrated actor.
And then you asked about who's the most underrated actor.
Last week I asked, I did feel a bit bad because it isn't particularly kind.
But it is an honest question, because there are some actors that get more hype than they're actually
than they actually deserve. True.
There are some actors and people that will live on even in their own deaths.
Yeah.
Robin Williams, we love you.
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, Robin Williams is amazing.
Yes.
Robin Williams. Just.
In Jumanji and Hook and Aladdin. Hook was my favourite movie as a kid.
I'll tell you what, I know we've gone off on a bit of a tangent and we will come back to the question, but Robin Williams is rated highly, but I think he's a bit underrated because he is also amazing. He was in a film with Al Pacino called Insomnia, where he played the baddie, and he was brilliant. And he was also the bad protagonist in a film called 1 Hour Photo, where
you mean the anti-hero?
Yeah, the anti-hero character. And he was amazing in that as well. So I think Robin Williams is certainly somebody on that list. But we had a few other answers to the particular question. So who's the most underrated actor or musician? Mike Christie reckons Ollie Murs is underrated.
He was good back in the day, wasn't he?
Back in the day?
Back in the day. 3 years ago. He was really.
And failing that, Brandon Flowers, who I think is the lead singer of The Killers. I might be wrong.
Oh, The Killers. I haven't heard of them in a while.
Mike Christie said, best actress ever, my ex-wife. I'm not even going there. John Cook said, actor Mark Strong doesn't get the credit he deserves. Never seen him in a bad film. He's always excellent. Musician Slade. So many people think they're just noise stomping and a novelty Christmas band, but they're a lot more than that. Charlie Goodman said, easy. Jamie Lenman has been writing great songs since he was 16 with the band Reuben and recently as a solo artist. His lyrics capture life's angst. Oh, you'd like a bit of him then?
That's why I like Lucy Spraggan. Her songs are like angsty but uplifting. It's great.
As if Shakespeare had a love child with Kurt Cobain. That's quite a combination. I don't know how biologically that would work though. I mean,
it could be Shakespeare's descendant.
Could be. And Lee Robertson said his most underrated actor is Eddie Marsan, and he is an underrated actor. He's brilliant. So that was the answers to the questions we had last week. On that note, we will see you next week.
Bye.